Waterfall and Agile are terms that are often thrown around in project management discussions and circles, with an assumption that everyone knows what they are. But are you not quite sure what each entails and the differences between them? You're not alone. As a project management professional with over 15 years of experience, I often and routinely get asked to explain them, particularly to new joiners of the team. So in today's video, we'll be breaking down all there is that you need to know. We'll be looking at both what Waterfall and Agile are as concepts. We'll be looking at the key differences between them, the advantages and disadvantages of both, when you should be using Waterfall or Agile, or just general recommendations for those, the cultural and organizational impact of using either Waterfall or Agile, common misconceptions about both, and much, much more. So, imagine you're at a crossroads, deciding whether to take a well-marked, straightforward path or a flexible, adaptable trail that allows for exploration and changes along the way. This is the choice project managers face when selecting between Waterfall and Agile. One offers a predictable journey from start to finish, while the other embraces change and uncertainty. Now, chances are you have an idea of which is which. But nevertheless, let me now give you the high-level overview of each of these methodologies. So Waterfall is a project management methodology where tasks are completed sequentially, with each phase depending on the completion of the previous one, ensuring a clear, organised progression. So this is where you'd be taking the well-marked, straightforward path at the crossroads. Agile, on the other hand, is a project management methodology that emphasises flexibility, iterative progress through small, manageable increments, and continual feedback to better meet the evolving needs of project stakeholders. So what are the key differences between them? You've probably pulled a few of those out already. Well, firstly, in approach, Waterfall is linear. It's like following a cookbook precisely from the first ingredient to the last. You complete one phase fully before moving on to the next, with no overlap. So while this method is straightforward, it offers little room for backtracking or revisions once a stage is completed. On the other hand, Agile is cyclical and, as previously mentioned, iterative. So it's more like adjusting a dish as you cook, tasting and tweaking. Projects are divided into short sprints, and the plan is regularly evaluated and adjusted. So this typically allows for much more creativity and adaptation as the project progresses. So in terms of flexibility, this is another crucial difference. As you could probably imagine, Waterfall is rigid. So once you've completed a phase, changes are difficult and often costly, as they typically require revisiting and redoing earlier work. So this can be a challenge if project requirements change midstream. Whereas in terms of Agile thrives on flexibility. So changes can be incorporated at almost any stage of the project with minimal disruption. This is because the iterative nature of Agile allows for regular reassessment of the project's direction, making it ideal for environments where client feedback and shifting requirements are common. And ultimately, there's a whole difference in focus. Waterfall focuses heavily on process and documentation. Each phase has specific deliverables and documentation requirements, which are essential for moving to the next stage. So this makes it excellent for projects requiring stringent audits and where documentation is critical. On the other hand, Agile emphasizes product and customer collaboration. The goal is to deliver a working product as quickly as possible with continual client input. Regular updates and team meetings ensure that the product evolves according to actual user needs, making it highly responsive and customer focused. So with this in mind, what are the advantages of each methodology? Well, in terms of waterfall, there is a clear structure and stages. So waterfall is well organized into distinct and orderly stages, making it easy to understand and follow, especially for those new to project management. At the same time, the predictability of each phase allows for straightforward scheduling and resource allocation, reducing the complexity in management. And the comprehensive documentation at each phase ensures that all details are recorded, which is crucial for projects requiring historical data and strict compliance. Now, in terms of Agile, the main benefits of the Agile approach are that it's very flexible. Agile is highly adaptive, allowing for ongoing modifications based on stakeholder feedback and evolving project needs. There's also continuous improvement through iteration. So each iteration provides an opportunity to refine and improve the product, ensuring a better fit for user requirements. And there's also early and frequent testing. So this increases the chances of catching defects sooner, which simplifies fixes and enhances the quality of the final product. So what about disadvantages? Well, in terms of waterfall, the main disadvantages are as follows. There is an inflexibility to change. So once a stage is completed, making changes involves significant effort and often expense, as it often requires revisiting completed phases. Testing in waterfall occurs after the build stage, which can lead to the discovery of defects late into the project, impacting timelines and budgets. And also, there's a high risk if initial requirements are incorrect. So misunderstandings or errors in the initial requirements can propagate through the entire project, leading to increased costs and deployment failures. In terms of Agile, the disadvantages are as follows. There's less predictability. The iterative nature of Agile can make it challenging to predict the final cost, duration, and outcome of the project, complicating budgeting and scheduling. Agile also requires high collaboration and communication. Communication has to be pretty much constant, which can be demanding for teams and stakeholders. There's also the fact that Agile can be challenging to manage without an experienced team. It requires a deep understanding of its principles and practices, which can be difficult without a team experienced in Agile environments. So when should you be using Waterfall and Agile? Waterfall is best for projects with well-defined requirements. So projects where the scope and requirements are clearly understood and unlikely to change. These are best suited for Waterfall. So an example of this is a bridge construction project where every specification needs to be planned and approved in advance. Other projects suitable for Waterfall include those with a limited scope for changes. So projects that cannot afford scope creep due to budget or timeline constraints should adopt Waterfall. For instance, a government defence contract with fixed terms and conditions. Also, projects within industries with strict regulatory or compliance needs. So Waterfall is preferable in industries like pharmaceuticals or aerospace, where compliance with regulations is mandatory and requires extensive documentation. For example, the development and approval of a new drug involves phases that must be completed in a strict sequence to meet regulations. So what about Agile? Agile is great for projects with evolving requirements, where a lot of flexibility is required and needed. Software development is a classic example where client needs and technology advancements can shift rapidly during the project lifecycle. Also, any projects that emphasize customer feedback or continuous user input, like consumer electronics or mobile app development, these kind of projects thrive under Agile. This allows for regular updates based on user testing and feedback. Now, lastly, Dynamic and fast-paced industries. Industries that move quickly and where being first to market is a competitive advantage, such as tech startups or digital marketing. These are perfect for Agile. The iterative process allows these projects to adapt swiftly to new trends and changes in market demand. So adopting either Waterfall or Agile can have a significant effect on the organisational culture and team dynamics. Each methodology promotes different structures, roles, and attitudes within the team. So in terms of Waterfall, it's very hierarchical in nature. So Waterfall tends to reinforce a top-down approach in management, with decision-making often centralised at higher levels of the organisation. Waterfall also typically means for clear roles and responsibilities, where each team member has a defined role with specific tasks, which can simplify accountability and clarify job duties. There's also a predictable workflow element to Waterfall. So the structured nature of Waterfall provides a predictable workflow which can reduce anxiety about deadlines and expectations, fostering a more stable work environment. In terms of Agile, it promotes a collaborative culture, a team-oriented environment that values communication and collaboration over hierarchical command structures. There's also a focus on cross-functional teams, bringing together diverse skill sets to work on various aspects of a project concurrently. This usually enhances innovation and problem-solving capabilities. Now, lastly, there's also an emphasis on continuous improvement. So Agile encourages ongoing development and refinement, both of projects and processes, which can lead to a culture of continuous learning and adaptability. Now, in terms of transitioning to a new project management methodology can be challenging and may encounter several hurdles. You need to consider resistance to change. So employees may resist adopting a new methodology, preferring to stick with what they know. You've also got an element of training and adoption, which, training is crucial to ensure all team members are competent and comfortable with the new methodology. And then you also need to align the organisational goals with that methodology. So it's important to ensure that the chosen methodology, whether that be Waterfall, Agile, or even another methodology, it's important to ensure that they align with the broader goals and values of the organisation, which can require adjustments on both strategic and operational levels. In terms of common misconceptions, misunderstanding both Waterfall and Agile can lead to misuse and inefficiencies. So let's quickly clarify some common misconceptions. The first is that Waterfall is inflexible in all cases. While Waterfall is less flexible than Agile, it can incorporate changes at specific stages. It's not completely rigid, so bear that in mind. There's also a misconception that Waterfall is ineffective for modern projects. Waterfall can still be highly effective, especially in fields with fixed processes and heavy regulation, such as construction and pharmaceuticals. In terms of the Agile methodology, some of the most common misconceptions include the lack of documentation. So Agile does involve documentation. It just prioritises working software or output over comprehensive documentation. There's also a misconception that Agile is only suitable for small projects. Agile can scale to large projects with proper frameworks, such as SAFE or Scaled Agile Framework, which adapts Agile principles for larger enterprises. And there you have it, a comprehensive dive into the worlds of Waterfall and Agile. Whether you're steering a rigid, well-mapped project or navigating the flexible currents of innovation, choosing the right approach can dramatically enhance your project success and team dynamics. Remember, the key to effective project management isn't just about following a methodology, it's about adapting the framework to fit your project's unique demands and your team's strengths. So, evaluate carefully, choose wisely, and be ready to pivot as your project evolves. If you have any questions or want to share your experiences with Waterfall or Agile, then drop a comment below. Any feedback and I will get back to you. With that said, Best of luck, and I hope you have an excellent day.